Friends, how are you doing? It's Monday in the market. Let's talk about what's going on. So much going on in this world as usual. So the news with the stock market today is that it was supposedly, well, obviously the bill with Trump, all that, everything he's doing, and then there's this, the communication with China and us about trade is supposedly going good. So that helped the stock market today. So all in all, decent day in the market, not terrible. Some things pushed better than others. Obviously, Palantir, just another incredible push by Palantir. Crypto doing really well. So yeah, pretty exciting what's going on out there. I hope everyone's doing well. I really do mean that. And let's chit chat, let's gossip, let's dream, let's think about what could happen here. And I do want to say this. These are some other stocks that I just watch, maybe secretly invest in that I don't talk about a lot, but that I think everyone should just at least watch. And these are all different. But I get a lot of people commenting like, why don't you talk about other stocks? I talk about other things here and there, but I try to keep it kind of focused on one thing here at most times. But Tesla, obviously I've talked about Tesla. I still heavily invest in Tesla, just use it as a savings account because I think the next 5-10 years are going to be radically different with that stock that's going to grow enormous and probably control a lot of the market. So then you got C3, another great AI stock. It's went down a little bit, maybe huge opportunity there. It's a fast growing AI company. Hims and hers, just insane growth on that stock. Quarterly, everything that's going on with Hims. Obviously, I'm not going to go into full detail genesis of who and what these companies are. But Hims and hers, just wow. And then CRISPR, and the thing I've thought about talking about CRISPR, if you guys want me to talk about these stocks more, let me know. But, CRISPR especially, that's a very touchy subject when we talk about CRISPR because this is a company that is not making enough money and they rely on donors. They rely on heavily being funded by essentially donors. But gene editing, what that company is, the future of what it could bring and could be a huge company in the future. This is a company that Kathy Woods swears by that is going to be revolutionary in the next, pretty much 5 years of investing. So these are stocks maybe I invest in, maybe I don't. And I say that because when I talk about stuff, people immediately go buy it. I don't want you to buy something just because I'm talking about it, but I do think you should pay attention to these stocks and what's going on with them. So there you go. There's a little tidbit of information. Let's go right into Palantir here. So Palantir, today just had another push, just had another incredible push into this same range that we've been in. Palantir, I do believe this is what it's been doing since 15, 20, 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 80, 100, 115. It's been just chipping away slowly, and now it's chipping away at this whole new position. And, I do believe that Palantir is obviously looking for 135. It's looking for 40. It's probably going to find it sooner than later. I think it'll definitely find it before August, before we get to the second quarterly of the year here and obviously, Palantir, every month they keep rolling out a new big deal. And two, with this huge deal that's going on with Palantir and Trump, the government, all that, I suspect when and if we do get detail into that more, that deal, what it means, what it could look like, it could significantly change the guidance of the stock 100%, where it's going here. So, I think you're in this playground, this huge playground right now within a 30-day period of Palantir, what we've seen, where we're anywhere from this 20, it's even 120 now is kind of disappearing. 120 is kind of disappearing, but 120 to 135 we're trying to get to this huge playground of push, pull, resistance, growth, everything there. Since back in February when we had this first huge initial big push here, this first big build up here with Palantir right above Alex Karp's head there. That was a strong indication of what was coming, okay? We knew people were more than willing to pay 125 for Palantir. And even when Palantir hit 125 there, people were like, that's it. There's no way. There's no way it's going more. Well, here we are now, just months later. Then, of course, tariffs came in, DeepSeek, tariffs, all that went through April, January, February, March, April, May. May, we started to kick back up in the market. Palantir's recovered extremely here. NATO deal, another defense deal that kind of went underneath the radar here not long ago. And now the situation with Trump coming out and saying, hey, we're going to work with Palantir. Palantir's going to work, for the government exclusively. Big, broad deal. We don't even really know what all incorporates with it. So, and now we know too that Alex Karp and Trump, there's a relationship there. It's being built. And, obviously this turns into politics real fast. I'm not trying to talk about politics, but what I am saying is when you're investing, you want to follow money. You want to follow where things are going. And it's such a clear cut vision of where Palantir is getting its kind of, where the well is right now with Palantir. So nonetheless, this is a situation where Palantir is in this range of very much so the well could just keep getting deeper here. I mean, and that's a good thing. So I think 135 is obviously around the corner. Obviously, I mean, if you're buying, selling, trading Palantir on a weekly, 2 weekly basis here, I mean, you don't really need 2 weeks. I mean, it's allowing investors to just have such a playground of, buy the low, sell the high, buy the low, sell the high. I really think this is going to be it until we get to, how it's going to be until we get to the next quarterly here, where we're going to just slowly chip away at the 30s here. We're going to get into some higher 30s here, and we're eventually going to, I think we're going to see 140 before the new quarterly comes out, especially before the new quarterly comes out, because more than likely when, we're less than 60 days out from, Q2 here, we're going to see Palantir start to move up more because FOMO will set in. It'll be a feeding frenzy. People will want to get in here as much as they can with Palantir to short trade it, or just to, they're freaking out because they don't want to miss what's coming here, because more than likely it's going to run here. I think we'll be, like I said, I've already said it, but I think we'll be well into the 140s by, August here, end of July. Obviously, we don't know where the market's going to be at that time, but, listen, according to a lot of people, the market should be in shambles. Rome should be on fire, but the market's doing really well. Everything's great, and that's kind of what we're just going off of right now. So, friends, listen, I know there's people still betting against Palantir. I see the comments. I see people saying that Palantir should be a $25, $30 stock. I literally saw that comment today. I was like, what? I mean, $70-$80, there's an argument. I get that, but obviously Palantir is way overpriced at this point, but I get why it's overpriced because of what it's a part of, what every quarterly is bringing, what it's doing here. So this is a situation where this is just what it is. This has been the same story with Palantir for over a year now, where you're having to pay this high price to be a part of what's going on here. It's going to continue. And not only that, Palantir is getting shoved into ETFs. It's getting pushed into this. You got people like Dan Ives, and now a lot of other top analysts are coming out and saying yeah, we believe that Palantir is going to be $1 trillion market cap here before long. It is, the software is unmatched. They are the only one doing it like they are doing it, and they don't have competition. That's the thing. Palantir is, they're out there alone, and they're killing it. They don't really have competition, in the sense of someone's gonna beat them in a sense. It's really I look at Palantir and I go there's this similarity with it with Tesla. And let me explain that, because I know somebody's going Tesla's a car company. What are you talking about? And that's a huge, was a car company. It still is, but obviously I'm not going to get into that. But, I remember when, even looking back 7 years ago, when Tesla was nowhere near what it is right now financially, and still even at that point making decent money, but Tesla was in this situation where people were just it's never going to do more. It doesn't make any sense. We've never seen this before. People weren't really paying attention to it. People did not want to believe in what they were offering, because what Tesla was offering, electric vehicles, people are that's ridiculous. I mean, it really it's been a while here. Even going back to the first Trump administration, that's when EVs were getting really hot too, especially. But around that time zone, we couldn't even fathom what Tesla was going to keep doing here. But with that, the similarities, what I see with that, with Tesla having this unique product that they knew would do well, and it kept growing, and they were the only ones really pushing it as hard as they were. Well, Tesla essentially developed this market, and this is what Elon does. He does it all the time. And of course, I'm talking good things about Elon, so sorry. But, Elon is famous for making a market and pushing into the market and people going, we want to be a part of that market, and going, we need that. Well, I see that similarity in Palantir, where they have this software that no one really was aware of, just 2-3 years ago, as heavy as it is now, and now you're seeing it just go rampant. And and then there's a conversation that other little companies are starting up with this. They're pushing into that, and of course BigBear's in that conversation too. But Palantir is so ahead of the game. So look at what Tesla did in 8-9 years. And Tesla, how much money Tesla has to spend to offer their product vehicles. And obviously there's a lot going on with Tesla right now with what they're pushing into, but just talking about the bare bones, the EVs of the company, you have Palantir, who is a lot cheaper in the sense of the workings of the company. They're not selling a physical product, they're selling software, they're selling their bread and butter of what they've developed here. So what I say all that to say is that Palantir has found a market, the market has found them. Customers are finding them, and they are pushing into it heavily. So, they could grow a lot faster than people think here. I mean, look at what they've done in 2 years. With the 2 years that we've seen right now with Palantir, imagine what 2 years from now could look like. This is why you're seeing articles, and this is why you're seeing, these analyst firms and all this talk about, a $1 trillion market cap. They're talking about stock splits already. I mean, it's great. Imagine if you got into a stock split with Palantir in the next 2 years. It'd be huge. So really think about this is like the genesis stage of where people can change their life right now with Palantir. If things keep going the way they're going, and it looks like it is within at least the next 4 years, if you know what I mean here, because Palantir is rubbing shoulders with the Trump administration. So Alex Karp and Trump have a totally different relationship. This isn't an Elon Musk and Trump relationship. Now, obviously, I look at Palantir and I go like, this is great, because Alex Karp and Elon, really good friends, work together. Alex Karp, Trump work together, really good friends. It's like when you have those two friends that don't like each other, but you're still friends with them separately. That's kind of what's going on right here. So, friends, I think the sky's the limit with what Palantir is going to keep doing. Yes, it's overpriced, but you have to understand what you're buying into. And the other thing too here is that there's going to be people that just don't want Palantir to work, okay? Because they've got left behind, because they didn't buy it at 60, they didn't buy it at 70, they didn't buy it at 80, they didn't buy it at 100. And I get that. Listen, when I was talking about Palantir just a moment ago here, when it was $50-$40, and I was saying it's going to $100. I was making those videos and I was saying it's going to $100. You have to understand the inflow, the volume, what is coming here, the deals that are not stopping, the quarterlies that are just raising. $100 is coming here, and people were raking me in the calls. I mean, it was just, what is that saying? Raking me underneath the calls. I mean, I was getting it. I do think that Palantir will hit a wall here, probably, unless some ginormous deal occurs here, but more than likely Palantir will hit a wall here before the next quarterly. But I think we're still probably going to make it to the 140s before the next quarterly. I really think that. I think there's a lot of time left. You still got June and July and halfway into August before we get to this next quarterly. We're less than 60 days out. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of growth for Palantir to do some chipping away here at 130 and get into 140. Who knows, could be more, but I think it's pretty safe to say it's going to start there somewhere. So Big Bear is in this situation where it's just holding this position right now. So, obviously I've talked about this. We have the 1, 2, 3, climb that we've had here. And I think that Big Bear obviously is looking for a $5 position. Okay. And I've talked about this too, is that, I know I sound like a broken record, but, we're seeing, the zeitgeist change here with I love that word, with Big Bear, where the atmosphere article wise with Big Bear is getting a lot more positive, where you're starting to see these articles come out now and say positive things about Big Bear, still addressing the issues that are going on, the lawsuit, the debt, all that, things we know about. It's no secret, we all know about it. If you don't know about it, you should know about it in these things. But there's a lot of good news attached to Palantir as well, and these are the things that are keeping investors paying attention to Big Bear right now. All these defense deals, the situation of, essentially, we have a president right now that is pushing massive defense budget right now, and you have Big Bear here who is already wrapped up in defense deals with our government, and they're about to unleash a bunch more deals, just open the floodgate with money. So it's kind of, I wouldn't bet against it. I cannot, the investor in me, the greedy, filthy investor in me that goes, I can't believe that Big Bear will go the rest of the year and not get another, at least, government contract, be a part of something with this huge Golden Dome, just any kind of deal in general. They will not get some sort of slice of the pie here, what's coming here. And that's the very great, unique, great thing what's going on right now. So, if you just got here with Big Bear, you have to understand all the work that's already been done here since November. We've had, back in November, Big Bear got, when things really started to heat up here. Let me give you a little history lesson here, the past 6 months. So, November of 2024 here, Big Bear, they received a right under $200 million government contract deal. Big, huge, it was spread out, I think, over 3.5 years. I think that was that one. And then, that started to get the things rolling here with Big Bear. I was like, whoa, that's huge. Kevin, the new CEO, was already with Big Bear. He just wasn't at the helm yet, but I think he was behind the scenes, that there was things going on, more than likely. Well, December comes, we get another deal. Then on top of that, it gets announced that Kevin is the new CEO. Kevin has a defense background. Kevin has a background with Trump. We know this. We know these two know of each other, talk, all that. Well, Big Bear every 30 to 40 days keeps getting government contracts. And it's just as of late that we've kind of went quiet with contracts. So we're kind of overdue. Who knows? Now, and then, of course, we've had the tariff collapse of, the stock market, deep sea tariff, all that. Then on top of that, this whole situation with the lawsuit with Big Bear. So it's just been hammering down Big Bear. But Big Bear, coming out of April, going into May, has really been climbing. We've had this beautiful staircase be built here where we're at 1 climb, 2 climb, 3 climb, and now we're somewhere in this mystery. Are we going to hit a 140 to 160 climb here? That would bring a new high compared to when we went to, and by the way, we had that huge $10 walk back in February, $10 and some change. A lot of people made a lot of money. But now we're at this very, what I think we're in right now is a very healthy, organic build right now. I don't think this is obviously it's manipulated by investors wanting to be a part of it and get in and make positions, but it's a very healthy position too with what we're watching here, because you're seeing, shares get ate up, new positions be built, and we're at this playground right now with 370s to 420s that, that's been the playground for about 3 weeks right now with Big Bear here. So it's a very curious place to be right now with Big Bear, where like I said, the work's been done, a lot of deals have been made. We've already had Q1. We've already seen that revenue is obviously increasing. I mean, they just missed revenue by less than $2 million, barely that. It was like 1 and some change. And now we're in the situation where, at least by Q2 here, when we get all these deals that have compound on top of each other, we should see a significant change in revenue once again. And into tomorrow, we'll hear more about this lawsuit situation, how this is going to continue to unfold. Will it be, just kind of relief for investors? How will it continue? What are they going to do? But all in all, I still think that Big Bear is in a very healthy position, and it's 100% because of the deals that it's already achieved. So the work's been done. So like I've said, finally get to the point here. If they just get one more nice deal, even the slightest, littlest deal of 50 million, maybe they get a deal for 100 million. I mean, it would radically change the stock overnight. It would radically change everything, because it would tell us, okay, we're achieving revenue this year. Quarterlies are going to hit at least Q3, Q4 from here on out when this deal really hits. And they'll be able to pay down debt. And this is going to make investors feel a lot more comfortable. And you're going to see Big Bear probably achieve this range of anywhere from $6, maybe back to $10. I don't think that's that crazy here, okay? So it's really just any day. I think that's really the thing to say here, is just I know there's negative with Big Bear. I get it. Trust me. Listen, I see the comments. I get it. I try to address it as much as I can. I'm not telling anyone to buy Big Bear or forcing you to buy it. I was talking about the issues with Big Bear back in October, November, when I started talking about this thing. Okay. But since then, Big Bear has radically changed as a company. I mean, we have seen such positive flow go through Big Bear. It's been one of the most remarkable things I've watched in the stock market with a company. I'd be totally honest with you. So that's why investors are jazzed with it. That's why what's happening is happening. So, today we really, it was funny because I just watched Big Bear all day, and I could tell what was going on. I could immediately see that investors were like, all right, are you going to buy at 188 or 388, or are you going to buy at $4? Are we going to go to $4? Okay, well, I'll buy at 391. So, it was very little volume, very little trading today. Investors were a little scared. I think that's because of what's coming tomorrow. So, we will see what tomorrow brings. Listen, I'm very positive. I'm very optimistic that Big Bear is going to continue to push in this. One thing too is for sure, like I said, to wrap this up, is that we are in a moment right now where AI is huge. Defense is huge. And Big Bear essentially is wrapped up in both those things. And two, with that, what are investors looking for right now? They're looking for young, cheap AI stocks. Big Bear. They're also looking for stocks that are wrapped up with government contracts that are bringing wealth. Double hit right there with Big Bear. So Big Bear is providing this right now. It's just a situation of you're watching the transformation of a company that really has a bad history, that really has not gotten that much notoriety or attention because really hasn't had that great history of deals or really awing investors with quarterlies, where they're going, futures, all that kind of stuff. But things have radically changed here in the past 6 months. So, I'm excited. I really listen, friends. The thing about investing is if you are here and you're listening to me yap about this, you have found a loophole in life. You have found something that a lot of people don't do, that they don't know about, and that's the stock market. That's you're able to, Big Bear alone and Palantir have allowed investors to really take really big hits with money here in a good way in the past 2-3 weeks, where you're able to buy these lows, sell these highs, buy these lows, sell these highs, and we're still showing that. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm jazzed. Friends, take care of yourself. Bye everyone.